Hello, 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 and welcome to Art Heals Earth School Live. And today we have a very special guest. And I know I say that every episode, but this time it's really true. She's the most special guest we've had yet, and her name is Anastasia. She goes by a million different names, but you can call her that here now. And we are having a really fun conversation today about something that we've been like talking about just among ourselves. And then we were like, you know what, let's go live and talk about this. And that is the integration of from gremlin to goddess vibes. If you are watching, please say hello in the chat. We see you popping in. We would love to give you a shout out, answer any questions. We're going to have a little bit of a conversation. She's going to do the breakdown of like the levels of how you get from gremlin to goddess. And then at the very end, I'll play a song on the piano. In the meantime, you're welcome to just, make yourself known in the chat, ask any questions that you might have. Sylvia, beloved, hello. Our glow girls are here,
Oh,
shining bright. So, yes, would you please go ahead and give us the introduction of what's a gremlin, besides just picture, which I will pull up for everyone to see because we know what your gremlin looks like just by the thumbnail. And then walk us through the levels, please.
okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Karina, you're amazing. Thank you. Always a million times. Thank you for creating opportunities and helping women. So originally my name is Anastasia, which comes from the Greek word Anastasi. But I'm okay with Anastasia. Um, so we had a very fun talk about the goddesses and the gremlins, and um, through my own healing journey and my personal coaching that I have done in the past, my beloved coach taught me this thing. It's called Gale, and it has 4 levels. The first level, starting with the L, are limiting beliefs. Then we're moving on to interpretations, to assumptions, and to the gremlin. That is my beautiful, beloved gremlin. Um,
I love that so much. Like, and not to interrupt you, but I can't tell you how many times I was just like laying in bed looking at my
yeah.
phone, laughing at this. Like I woke up like thinking about it, laughing at this. Like
Yeah.
when we were
Yeah.
designing it, I was laughing at this. Like it is hilarious because like, is this not exactly what that voice of the gremlin in your head sounds like? I know you haven't covered
Oh,
what that is, but like context clues, yeah, this is it.
yes, this is it. He might not look exactly like that, but definitely sounds like the Grinch. So just to get a little bit more into it, the um, the Gremlin is the 4th level. We're starting with the limiting beliefs and how those limiting beliefs actually shape our lives, and they lead us into interpreting different situations or conversations that we're having with other people in through our own lenses, hence starting making our own assumptions, and those assumptions are being made in our head. And just to give it a face, we're calling it the gremlin. Yes, that exactly. And so that gremlin is essentially that negative voice that we have in our head.
Yes.
And they just like keep talking or like constantly putting us down, talking negative to us, or like it's that thing in the back of your mind that doesn't let you fully be you and step
Yes.
into your true authentic power.
Yes.
Um, Now, on the other hand, we have our beautiful goddess. Our goddess is that woman that you picture if I were to tell you. Actually, let me ask you this question. Who would you be if there were no societal limits, if you were free to be whoever and whatever you want to be? That's your
Probably
goddess. Yeah.
her.
Hmm.
Her.
Yes, that's your goddess. And I would just say go on Pinterest and create a board just for your goddess, just so you can actually have a picture of what she looks like and actually get to know her. But you want to do that both for the gremlin and the goddess so that you can actually have a vision
Mhm.
for both.
Mhm.
For me, that really helped because whenever I would think of something negative, I had a picture of the gremlin and I'm like, okay, right now I have the choice to either listen to you or follow the goddess over here. And I I think I'm gonna go that way. You know? It's
100%.
like
Mhm.
mhm. It's very clear. The choice is very clear. Um
I love that. And I loved when you asked me yesterday. Oops,
mhm.
I accidentally minimized myself. I love when you asked me yesterday what the name of my gremlin was.
Oh yes.
I didn't even think about it. I just sat with the question for a second and I was just like, Agatha. Like Agatha.
Mhm.
And it came so clear. I was like, yes, that is her name. You
Yeah.
know, I know 0 Agathas in my life, so it is not a personal thing. If your name is
Mhm.
Agatha, you're a beautiful human.
Yeah.
But my gremlin is named
Yeah.
Agatha. And yeah, she's not what's beautiful about this is that it creates the opportunity for us to observe the voice
Mhm.
and hold
Mhm.
space for it without judging her and creating a way to actually accept and be the observer
Mhm.
of her.
Yes.
So far you've discussed a little bit of the limitations. You discussed the gremlin, what she looks like, what she sounds like, and the voice that is the gremlin. And
Mhm.
then you talked about the goddess as well, but I would love to like hear your perspective on the assumptions level because that is very prominent. In fact, one of the books that we teach and
Mhm.
we practice, and one of the things I practice daily, and I'm not perfect at it in my own healing journey, but I practice it often, is the 4 agreements and the 5th agreement.
Mhm.
And the 4 agreements are don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, always do your best. What's the 4th one? I always forget one. Well, not always.
I I
Al-
have no idea.
Always do your best.
Mhm.
Don't make assumptions. Don't take anything personally. I don't know if I said that one. Um, and the 5th agreement is listen skeptically. And
Mhm.
so, be skeptical, but learn to listen, but be skeptical, basically. And assumptions are so huge. I think we operate in assumptions most of the time. And it's very harmful, actually.
Mhm.
Be impeccable with your word. I knew it would come
Mhm.
to um, and so and see, I even corrected myself as I said that was an example of that. I corrected myself because I said I always forget one, and then I said, actually, no, I don't, because that is not a
Mhm.
impeccable statement to say that. So it's kind of funny because it's like, yes, we choose to embody these things, and we're not always perfect at it, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and just in general, like assumptions can be very harmful. They really can. So let's talk a little bit about that. I would love to hear your perspective on assumptions and how they play into this evolution from being your most embodied
Mhm.
gremlin that you can't feed after midnight or
Yeah.
get water on. Um, reference to the Gremlins movie toward being your fully embodied goddess.
Mhm.
What that journey is like.
Hmm. Seeing assumptions right now, it's very easy because I train myself to recognize the pattern whenever I'm about to make an assumption. And it wasn't always like that. There is a time, there is a period where we don't see when we're making those assumptions. We just go ahead and make them. So, yes, giving yourself that distance will help immensely. But I feel like what helped me a lot was realizing that, you're talking with another human being. You have no idea what they've been through their lives. You have no idea what shaped them, how they're thinking, um, in what environment they grew up. And the way that they are speaking to you, the way that they articulate things, it's their own unique way. And whatever is being said to us, we shouldn't take it too hard. You are who you are, and that's beautiful. And you are an authentic person. So I can only accept who you are. If I feel like, you know what, me and Karina are not a good match, then that's it. But it is a good match. Um, so it is always in the beginning. It had to be a constant reminder for me that I don't know that person. I don't know how they're thinking. They are saying one thing one way, but it might actually mean a completely different thing. So let's hear them out without going ahead and forcing all my beliefs in what they're saying. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. A beautiful thing that was said to me by my life coach was, we all go through life wearing a pair of glasses that they have special filters on. And I have my own set of filters. You have your own set of filters. The world is however it is, yet we see them through those lenses.
Mhm.
My lenses and your lenses are completely different. So I can give you the space to explain to me. If you do something that offends me, I I should be able to give you space to tell me why, what's going on. I see it this way, how do you see it? And then slowly you learn how to distance yourself. Um I made a note of this that I feel like it's a perfect time to bring it up. Um Sometimes we get too close to things. And the greatest lesson I have ever learned is this thing that came from painting for years.
Hmm.
And my art teacher would always tell me, take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Always. And I'm pretty sure all the art teachers tell the same thing,
Mhm.
because you're painting a beautiful canvas. And if you're so stuck and doing the same thing over and over again, you are so stuck on one tiny detail, which at the end of the day, if you look at the bigger picture, you can't even notice that. You
Mhm.
can't even see it. And then you realize that, whoa, that shouldn't even matter that much, because that's a tiny thing. Yes, it's the way it is, but it's beautiful the way it is, and it adds to the whole story of the canvas that I'm painting. Um,
I love that. And I resonate so deeply with that.
mhm,
First, I resonate with two of the things you just said. First, I'll go backwards. I'll
mhm,
share with what you just said, and then we'll go back a little bit.
mhm,
So I studied visual arts in school. So I was constantly in the studio, like an absurd amount. I think The longest I ever stayed in the studio was, like, I don't even know, maybe, like, 48 hours or something insane. Like, it's, like, not even, you know? Now painting straight, definitely 20 hours. I remember the first time I
Mhm.
did it, I came home and I had paint all over my legs, and I was just like, "What is this?" College is weird. And so you can imagine when you are so inundated
Mhm.
and, like, every granular
Mhm.
piece of canvas, and you are just, like, in it for hours and hours and hours, you really do often lose sight of the big picture, and
Mhm.
I swear I learned that the most productive thing I could do most of the time was walk away from the canvas, and that's kind of actually why I spent so much time there, was because, for one, I loved being in the studio, and for two, I would paint for a certain amount of time and then I'd walk away.
Mhm.
Toward the end of college, I learned how to leverage my every mark
Mhm.
to be extremely intentional and not have to, like, muddle things or redo things and make messes and stuff, but that was a process, like, there was a whole process in that, and it was not always beautiful, at least it didn't feel
Mhm.
like it, but toward the end there, when I would spend long hours in the studio, I had the results to match, and it felt good. Um, Especially in the 10 steps to alignment you do,
Mhm.
your Genius U test, and you and I are both Blaze geniuses, and that means we are very personable, we leverage and make a big difference through people and
Mhm.
fun and variety and going out and making a difference that way. And one of our strengths is that we see the big picture. One of our weaknesses is that we get lost in the details. And
Mhm.
so it's very interesting that you shared that, because I completely understand. And I think it's such a beautiful example, especially for so many creative women that we have
Mhm.
around us. And so thank you for sharing that. And I love art teachers forever. Like, yes, like they have the best examples.
Yes.
And also, one of the things that you said about
Mhm.
the wearing different glasses. So when we make assumptions, we sometimes assume that other people understand what it looks like through our lens, or we make
Mhm.
the assumption that we understand what it looks like through theirs, and we often don't, because
Mhm.
we're not often making the conscious choice when we speak with people until we start to
Mhm.
take off our glasses first and put theirs on. And then one of the things that I think is beautiful that I'm learning is that we don't always have to, like, when we're not making the assumptions, we don't always have to, like, you said, like, distance yourself, or you decide to where to distance yourself from that, and I think that that's beautiful and important. And also, on another level of that, when we do hold space, or hold enough space to have those lenses on, or as we're evolving up through it, when we see, we're like, okay, this person has their gremlin glasses on right now, like, I can
Mhm.
feel it, I can see it, I'm not making the assumption that I know everything that about what that experience is like for them, but I can call out a gremlin when I see one.
Mhm.
It's not your job from a goddess perspective to let the gremlin live on in that way. Like, that is the opposite. And so
Mhm.
it's like there's a gentle, delicate dance to be had in holding the space for the gremlin, whether that is your conversation with yourself or with another fellow gremlin voice in
Mhm.
that moment, to, yes, hold the space and acknowledge that is that, but that's, like, doesn't mean that you choose to always just, like, listen to the whole gremlin story, because it will never end. Like, it'll just go on and on and on and on and on, because that's part of what the gremlin's job is. And
Mhm.
in our goddess lens, or in our goddess glasses, we are able to instead be like, "Mm-mm, that's not working for me, and it's not working for you either, and it's not my job to like choose to be around that, like
Mhm.
no matter where it's coming from. And I think there's such power in that, so much power in that. And it made me, I think that this conversation is a beautiful example of that because I definitely wouldn't say I was in my gremlin energy when we spoke yesterday, but I do see how I was in the space of holding the space for the gremlin voice, you know? So I was like,
Mhm.
I wasn't like, yeah, da, 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 da. I was just sort of like, yo, I'm hearing this voice that's going like da da da,
Mhm.
and it's just not it. And I know that, and I have a goddess, and I know I want to choose her. And I'm glad that we were able to hold the space together to do that
Mhm.
because that's very effective. And when we were having that conversation, I was like recognizing one of the things I love about our ecosystem is that we work in 30, 60, 90-day windows for self-development, and that's great. And also, that time constraint of masculine energy can activate my gremlin or like my self-aware Barbie vibe, and that is
Mhm.
not my million-dollar babe or my goddess vibe. Not. And so I was holding space and recognizing that like I'm making the choice, like I'm not moved by that anymore. Like, I'm just choosing that it doesn't move me, it activates something I don't resonate with, and it's actually unproductive. I'm grateful that, like, I understand and I understand, and I've seen the proof daily
Mhm.
of compounding efforts and putting all of those, you know, daily disciplines and in clarity of what my vision is, acting with consistency and seeing the results in that. Because why wouldn't it? Why shouldn't it happen today? Why shouldn't it come to me now? Why wouldn't I be the
Mhm.
recipient of everything I asked for? Absolutely. And also when it's like, "Oh, no, I have only 17 days left to get to my goal." It's like, that's not it. That's not productive. Gremlin
Mhm.
vibes all the way. And so it's beautiful to be able to be like, "Okay, I'm holding space for the way that I get activated in certain ways. Might be effective for somebody else, might not be effective for me, but I have the opportunity to change the lens and take off those glasses
Mhm.
any moment that I want to." So powerful.
You said it so beautifully, and seeing how quickly you absorbed it, like I literally planted the seed last night, and it's already a beautiful garden. You have worked with it so nicely, so finely that it really speaks to my heart.
I love that.
Um,
And that's the thing about inner work is like,
yeah.
it is only taking like years and years and years, right? But that is our natural state of being. And that's the key in terms of embodiment. And
Mhm.
the most beautiful thing is like the other thing I was sharing about the gremlin voice was like how harsh she can be and all of the opinions that she has. And it's like mm, to be completely honest, like I don't even care about my own opinion of me.
Mhm.
And I know everyone says only your opinion is the opinion of you that matters. And it's like,
Mhm.
cool. No, it's not. Like, God's opinion of me is the only opinion that matters. And my opinion of myself is actually also none of my business. So, your opinion of me is
Mhm.
definitely none of my business at all. And there's so much power in that. And so, yes, like when we're in that space of embodiment, which I'm learning to step into every single day, I get the reminder and I see that in you as well. And so I love the co-creation and the way that we have
Mhm.
been able to collaborate in community because, you know, that's the power we have. We can say, Karina, like, what if you had a gremlin voice inside of you, what would her name be? And then it goes from Agatha to us designing this thumbnail while I'm like in the
Mhm.
gym and then by the time we go to sleep, we have this live stream on the schedule,
Mhm.
and in the calendar. And we have beautiful women joining in from, well, both of them are actually from the Sarasota, Tampa, Florida area, from what I
Yeah.
thought. So that's kind of, by the way, that's my mommy. One of my people in the chat is my mom. So hi, mom. That's like everyone's dream to be on
Yeah.
TV and be like,
I
that's
love this.
that's like my Monday afternoon. So how cool is that? Um, so yeah, not to go on a million tangents, but um that I think is beautiful and I love that and I definitely wanted to share that and say thanks for that. And there's a couple of other things I wanted to talk about. Now I'm trying to remember, but as I am impeccable with my word, I'm sure that they'll come back to me. Um, let's see. What about you?
What about me?
I know,
So
it's like just me being like, here, take the mic.
while you were talking, I made some notes. So of some things that I want to address. So I'm going back to talking about that painting, that we are so detail oriented that we need to also allow ourselves, when we take that step back, you need to allow your eyes to adjust.
Mhm.
Allow yourself that space and time to adjust to the change of being to something so closely, to putting some distance between the two of you,
Yes.
because we tend to forget it. But actually, when you were painting and you were that close, and then you take a step back, your eyes need a moment to adjust.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, not just stepping back, it's literally like,
Hmm.
leave the room,
Yeah.
sleep, let
Hmm.
try, go get drink some green juice, and then
Hmm.
get some fresh air and come back, and then you're like, "Oh, dang, I'm talented." Like, "Oh, dang, this is, like, from the divine," you know? Like, wow.
Hmm.
And I actually did remember what I wanted to say, that was that the gremlin voice will
Hmm.
say, "Integration, one day." But our goddess says, "Integration, day one." It's like right now, I can do that. I
Hmm.
can use that in any moment. It doesn't matter if I
Hmm.
just had a temper tantrum. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if I, just experienced like 5 limiting beliefs. Like you can
Hmm.
always choose. And I think that's so powerful. And guess what? If you go through day 1 and get to day 29 before you hit
Hmm.
30 and you have a gremlin day, start over. Like
Yeah.
have it be another day of
Hmm.
another moment to moment experience of your fullest embodied empowered self. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I think that that's beautiful, and I love what you said about the painting. And I love it all. I would love for you to also, well, before I do that, I know you had some notes and things that you wanted to talk about, like,
Hmm.
and make sure that we touch on. So, are there other things that we haven't talked about yet that you want to?
I feel like they should come later,
Okay.
because I want to touch upon the topic of surrendering and finding your
Ah, you
authenticity.
and I are right here. I was like, I wanted to ask you if you would talk about
Hmm.
the surrender
Um, but before we get into that,
experience.
um, you said this thing that by making assumptions, we can choose to take off our glasses and put someone else's on. We cannot fully do that, because you can never be in someone else's shoes fully. We cannot live someone else's life. We can understand some certain filters though.
Mhm.
um and it's important to remember that you are your own person, and you have been through your own journey in this beautiful life. And I might not get it, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally okay. And moving on, I feel like I really want to share this. It's my relationship with my gremlin. So when I first worked on it with my coach, I knew his name is Mr. Grinch. He is moody, he is sassy, he's a he because he has a lot of masculine energy,
Mm.
and it is very terrifying. But on good days, he's this small, he sits right here on my shoulder and he talks, and I'm like, It's okay. It's okay. But there are days that he is like this huge beast that is standing right behind me, and he threatens to kill the entire world. And I'm like, oh, okay, we need to
Oh,
calm down. Yeah.
that's so great.
Um, Having said that, in the beginning, because I had a very strong opinion about my gremlin, and not gonna lie, I tried to take him down instead of actually appreciating him, because at the end of the day, he's there to protect me.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's another reason why he's a he, because he is my protector. It's what is keeping me safe and alive.
Absolutely.
Those doubts, those second thoughts, and that's his job to protect me.
Mm.
Um, but then while I was going through that whole "don't talk to me like that, I hate you, just I want you to be gone," I went to, whoa, wait a minute. This thing is actually me. It
Mhm.
is a part of me. And I can hear you and I can accept you the way you are. And the only thing I have to give you is love,
Yeah.
because I see you and I know that that's what you need. That's why you're acting up. Because at this moment right now, you need love the most.
Absolutely.
And then I chose to give him love, and we became friends. And the last time that he was that huge beast lurking behind me was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I
He
love it.
still has his moments, but I love that part of me that keeps me safe, that keeps me alive.
Absolutely. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. Evolutionarily speaking,
Mm-hmm.
we are very, very new to this idea of like abundance, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
I love thinking about this because it's like if we like okay, speaking of like tribal living,
Mm-hmm.
not even necessarily ancient or like a long time ago, because people live in tribes right now. I think people sometimes forget that. It's like, no, like not the whole world is like fucking, excuse my language,
Mm-hmm.
like glued to like not the whole world exists like that. Like not. Like
Yeah.
it's like not.
Yeah.
There are people who would just like literally live on the land and and,
Mm-hmm.
like all over the planet. So like let's just cut that. But also like let's think about this for a second. And like when you're existing in that reality, which is the vast majority of human history, like Homo sapiens have existed as that and before, like when we were in Neanderthal stage and all of the different hominid types, like the person that just sat like down by the fire and was like, I just like trust that all of the berries and the fish are just like gonna come to us. I just feel it. It's like that person's dead. Like they're dead. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
no like there's no like great, that's great. Love, attraction, vibes, sure. And also like you just got an arrow through your head. Just be aware, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's sort of funny because it's like no, like there this is new. This idea that we can just like sit in a vibration and receive that. And then also it's kind of not new because it is holistically a part of like African naturalist ways
Mm-hmm.
and like the teachings of living on the land that also aligns with that. And so it's interesting because these things don't have to be mutually exclusive, like they
Mm-hmm.
don't contradict. However, this programming in our cellular bodies, in our minds, is very much leaning toward scarcity in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways. And now that we live in a different developed world, you know, or civilized society, if
Mm-hmm.
you want to call it that, which I think is a stretch, to be honest. Um, just given like what you see on these things, but that's
Mm-hmm.
another conversation, or is it? Because it's Gremlin Central over there, you know. Um, it's interesting because that's just like how we really are wired in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
And it does, to a certain extent, keep us safe, and then to a certain extent harms us. And so it's
Mhm.
interesting that we can hold that space for it. And I what I love as well is that in harmonious community, and as we collaborate and contribute as these young women that we are, when we operate on teams, when we're working together on different projects, we identify those things in one another. And because we are here as a meritocracy based
Mhm.
collective, and like being our insisting on our highest standards, not only for ourselves, but for one another as well. Like the day that Anastasia is, not at her highest self, I can just be like, he's a mean one, Mr. Grit.
Yeah.
And you can be like, "Oh, no." You know what I mean? And you can be like, um, "Mm, Agatha, is that you right now? Like,
Mhm.
what is going on with your
Yeah.
gremlinness?" Right? It's just not
Mhm.
not cute. Like, I've seen better of you, and I insist
Mhm.
on the best of you, and that's what we're actually here to remind each other of.
Mhm.
And and it is true, like we are just, I love this because, as you know, I'm with Dr. Fellingham, and I just love, has this sign up and it says we're all just walking each other home. And so that's exactly right.
Mhm.
So I just love that. And I thank you for creating this space for me to be able to look at my gremlin, and for you to be able to look at your gremlin. And that's one of the things that we get to do together. I think it's really
Mhm.
special.
It's beautiful once you actually get to see that version of you
Mhm.
and fully accept it.
Mhm.
And like I told you yesterday, I'm working on building a course with the name Find Yourself, Find Your Purpose.
Mhm.
And there's a whole section where I'm actually talking about this. And you read the Akutar series?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So when Feyre looks in the Ouroboros mirror,
Oh my gosh. Yes.
that's exactly the thing.
Oh my gosh. What a great
So
example.
it's about looking into the Ouroboros mirror and fully accept what you see. Because at
Okay,
the end
so
of the
let's
day,
explain
that's
that for a
you.
second. So in this fantasy fiction, like super girly, like fairyland book series that we were reading. Hey, Katie, love. I like your pigtails. They're so cute. There's food in the kitchen if you want some, and there's juice in the refrigerator in the garage, okay? I'll talk to you soon. Um, Whenever we look at the okay, wait. Sylvia knows. She says, I love a good Alcatar analogy. So the mirror is
Mhm.
this symbol of the in the super girly book, which, just side note, I think we all individually resisted. I don't know
Mhm.
about everybody, but I know Alexis and I talked about this, and we both like resisted even letting ourselves read like a fairy tale fiction, which like I understand because like kind of objectively, like what's the point? But no, like it's so empowering for
Mhm.
a young adult woman to be able to like read those kinds of things, because it was such a part of our childhood. Like it was such a part of our development
Yes.
to be in
Mhm.
that energetic like space of wonderment and like just
Mhm.
beautiful fun and like fairies and monsters and all of that kind of stuff. And we lose that whenever we're like, grr, be
Yeah. Yeah.
self-development adults or whatever. It's like,
Mhm.
when's the last time I read fiction? Anyway, in this story, she has to look in a mirror that shows her, no one knows what it shows. It's like this
Mhm.
mysterious mirror. And she, in order to basically save the kingdom, has to look in this mirror and confront the monster in the mirror. And nobody has ever successfully looked at it without dying. And so
Mhm.
she's like, great. So my options are like basically the whole world blows up, or I have to look in this mirror, and which no one has ever successfully done before. And Feyre does look in the mirror, and then what happens? Tell me.
She fully accepts who she is.
Because she sees herself.
She
She
sees
sees
herself. Yeah.
all of the worst, ugliest things of herself, and it like
Mm-hmm.
sucks her in a scary way. And she sees herself and she accepts herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she saves, I mean, spoiler alert,
Yeah.
they save the kingdom.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes. And yes, Sylvia, I know you love Afro.
I love this.
It got me excited.
So, oh yes, it's that series has been a whole spiritual journey, especially A Court of Silver Flames. Oof.
I like can't I didn't actually read it. I watched YouTube videos because I was like, I can't commit to actually read all of this. It's just too much time. But I enjoyed listening to the
Yes.
description so much.
Mm-hmm.
I like this better than the reading. And okay, so let's like do like a fun unplanned thing. So who embodies Gremlin the most in that, and who embodies the goddess and why? And just like the whole series, because now I can't remember which book was which.
Mm-hmm. Of all the people,
Sure.
I
Male,
guess Nesta embodies the gremlin, but
in
she's
the
learning to deal with it.
toward the end, she really comes through. Like at the
Mm-hmm.
very last. I mean, yeah, she is very gremlin vibes. That and also Omrin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like, just visually, that's like what I imagine the
Mm-hmm.
because Nesta is like Regina George, gorgeous, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's like, but that's what's interesting is like you can be beautiful on the outside and have a lot of ick and yuck inside,
Mm-hmm.
on the
Yeah.
inside. So that's interesting. Yeah.
A man for a goddess.
I mean, like obviously Feyre.
Obviously Feyre, but my heart tells me more too, just because
I said more in my brain too, so I'm with it.
she has been through hell and back, that we're still waiting to get more info about it, and yet she chooses to put a smile every day and not show up as that gremlin. She chooses every day to show up as the best version of herself.
She
And she
does.
literally says it in the book. Don't let the hard days win. Your hard days don't shape you.
Exactly. I love that.
Also, the surreal gives goddess vibes.
You know what?
Yeah.
Unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
Fair share. I like
Yeah.
that.
If you think about it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
true.
And actually, the phrase for my purpose, leave this world better place than how you found it, came from the surreal. I was reading that book and I was like, okay, now it all makes sense. I hear you, I see you, and this is it.
I adore that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
What? Like I did not expect talking about.
Yeah.
I was like just the way, like the chokehold that Akosvar has
Oh
on
yeah.
the entire Glow Girls community and all of our community in Earth School is like
Yeah.
really not even funny. That's
Mm-hmm.
not even funny. So yeah, you heard it here a million times. Like we love the series. Okay, so I love women because
Yeah.
wow, like the fact that we can do that is the best to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about Michael Singer and the Surrender Experiment. And also, I didn't even get to tell you the story of like my experience of knowing him. I know you were asking me about that. Well, I
Yes.
not that I didn't get to. It's just that we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about business related things, and I was like, that's a story for another time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's get on focus. But yeah, so let's have you share a little bit about that. I would love to listen to what your experience with his book has been like, and also like share with me some of the things you were talking about with it last night and his like fight to actually fully surrender. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if anyone is wondering what we're talking about, it's Michael Singer, Michael A. Singer, The Surrender Experiment, and he also authored The Untethered Soul.
Mm. Those two books have literally changed my life. I'm not joking. Like, I don't know with what divine power he put into those books, with what magical ink he printed them, but they have the power to change your life. And I'm not joking.
Mhm.
I wish I was. Like, reading The Untethered Soul, that the last chapter, I was bawling my eyes. I couldn't stop reading, and I couldn't stop crying because he truly spoke to me on such a deep level. I will start with The Untethered Soul. So, in that book, he goes deeply into our thoughts. And okay, let me put it that way, because this is something that I wanted to talk about, and it ties with the whole Gremlin thing. So, try to observe something for a little bit. As you're observing it, try to become it. Can you do that?
Hmm. It's like it goes back to the thing you were saying with the lenses and the glasses in a way. But like yes and no. You can become it because we are it holistically. And
Mm-hmm.
also you can't become it because you're you and it's it, and you can like put the lens of its glasses on, but it's still just your version of its glasses.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
like
like,
yes, you can become it because you are it. And also no.
yes, if you're observing a thing outside of you, while observing it, you cannot actually become it. So we can do the same thing with all the thoughts that we have. And especially if you're a person that has a hyperactive brain, you tend to overthink everything, and you feel like there is a constant war, I would name it, in your head, or like you're battling within your head. Try to observe that and think that that is not me. Because the moment you start observing something, that whole chaos is not you. Yes, it is a part of you and it is happening, and you will observe it whether you like it or not. But you get to choose and separate yourself from it and be like, I accept what is happening. It doesn't mean I choose to be it. The same way with the gremlin. I get to completely accept the fact that it exists and it's there and it is a part of me. But you can choose to become the gremlin or follow your goddess.
And any
And mhm,
and it goes to what you're saying because I think he was one of the first people who wrote it down in words, at least in the way that it was so digestible, the way he
mhm,
wrote it,
mhm,
that there are two voices in your head. Hello, beauty. There's the voice that speaks. And so it's like and we are the voice that listens. It's interesting because what we're sort of
mhm,
talking about, what you're breaking down is that, yeah, you're the voice that listens, and yeah, there's a voice that speaks, but there's multiple voices that speak, honey. And there are levels of how that voice
mhm,
sounds. And so when we're talking about gremlin voice, like we can hold a different kind of compassionate space for it that
mhm,
which might be necessary than the compassionate space we hold for our goddess because she's in her exalted state and
mhm,
the gremlin is in its pain body and so it's a beautiful thing to be able to like actually recognize that in the moment that
Mhm.
it's happening and be that container for both of those voices that are not us to heal.
Mhm.
And if we're going to choose to identify as anything in this life, at least choose to identify as the highest version of
Mhm.
yourself because it
Yeah.
will serve.
Yeah.
And we are here to serve, you know, in a
Mhm.
lot of ways. And so I think that that's really beautiful. And yeah, so he's an amazing man, an amazing author. I would love to take a trip. It would be so much fun for us to go, like,
Oh,
on a
yes.
re I thought that when I went to the most recently to the temple, I was like, "We have to have, like, a real lifestyle retreat
Mhm.
here," because this place is like, the land is insane, Anastasia. Like,
Mhm.
there's the temple, and he lives on the land, there's a few other houses, and then there's just this, like, amazing there's, like, 2 amazing greenways. And the amount of healing I have spent up in the tree
Mhm.
beside that temple is like I can't articulate, you know, just literally like dangling on a tree branch in that tree. And that's one of my favorite places to be is just like up in
Mhm.
a tree. Um and yeah, he's an amazing man and the woman I loved the story you told me yesterday about the woman in the book who revealed herself as the person there to help him build the temple because I'm pretty sure I don't know if he names her by name, but I'm like 99.9% positive I have a relationship with that woman because I've heard them both explain the story of building the temple and I think that like she's the person he's talking about
Mhm.
and she's you know such as she is a sweetheart and I
Mhm.
absolutely love this woman and over the years I've you know, he's amazing, and he's very much like I'm not trying to be like, "He's great, but she's my favorite," like, that's kind of how it's coming out, and I know it, and I feel like it's sort of like to be honest, that's how I am with, like, any if it's like if we're talking about a man and a woman, I'm like, "He's great, but, like, she's"
She is, yeah.
like, Tony Robbins is awesome, but, like, have you heard Tony
Mhm.
Robbins speak, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
no, like, it's
Mhm.
different. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm turning red as I'm saying that because it's kind of funny. It's just it's not a discounting of how everyone is necessary in it. And what I love about what I love about the leadership of so many of the men that I do look up to is
Mhm.
how outward facing and changing like the world it is and how more and it's similar to what we're building here in this container. It's like the women being able to nurture each other and the
Mhm.
each woman and like in the homes space I think is the thing that I just personally resonate with more. And so
Mhm.
whenever I see examples of that, I'm like, you go, girl. So now I'm like super monologuing in a tangential direction, but it's well, it's not because it's embodied goddess vibes. And so
Mhm.
that's like, you know, what we're talking about here. And it's a really beautiful place. I'm really would love to have us all go there. I think it'd be so much fun.
It is definitely one of the places that it's in my bucket list for life. Like
Really? Oh,
yes.
all right, let's do
Oh, yes. I to be there and be surrounded by the magic that happened there is
Yeah,
a dream.
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Mhm.
Um, I used to go there a lot, so it's like 15, 20 minutes from my alma mater where I went to college.
Mhm.
And so, you know, every Thursday I would go, I would just like sit and listen. He would do these talks and just
Mhm.
heart everyone he would like play the piano and
Mhm.
sing like mantra chants and we'd all join in and it's so beautiful and I love it. It's just like all people from all different walks of life. People travel all over the world to go there.
Mhm.
I felt so lucky. And you know what's so interesting? Okay, so this is how it went down. It was like one of my last semesters of college And this sort of goes toward like a theme of today, which is like how manifestation is like, we have this idea that manifestation is like, oh my gosh, like I created this thing. Like I was just thinking how much I wanted this juice. And like then the juice was in the refrigerator and like I did that. I'm amazing and I'm such a goddess.
Mhm.
And it's like, yes, you are. And also, like you didn't create the juice in that process. You minimized the timeline between
Mhm.
your desire for the juice and it's appearing in your physical reality, but you didn't like create it unless you did.
Mhm.
But kudos for you because I love making my own juice, but you still didn't create the juicer and you still didn't create the
Mhm.
actual like apples and you didn't create the plant of the apple tree and you
Mhm.
didn't plant the seed probably and all of these other things. And so it's interesting because we have these ideas about manifestation, but the reality is it's just a minimization of time space
Mhm.
between a latent thought and its existence in our reality or existence within our consciousness
Mhm.
as our reality. Because there are times when something's physically already been there and then we're just sort of like, "Oh my gosh, I'm realizing this for the first time," or, "Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, it has, like, a deeper meaning to me now in this moment than it would have because of all of these other things." And so that was sort of the example that had happened.
Mhm.
I had been gifted the book, um, didn't even realize the temple was in the same city as us, and then I was just, like, reading the book, and loved it, and my mom says she's in on a Temple of the Universe retreat, and I, like, already knew that she would totally
Mhm.
be in on that, and it's a beautiful place. I know that she loves it and loves Michael Singer as well. So just side note on that, mom is in. Um, and I love that. So I'm reading the book, I'm experiencing this. This is, like, toward the end of college, one of my last semesters. I had gone a couple of times, after reading it and having been referenced toward the
Mhm.
book and all of these things. And then I was really into it. I was, like, attending often, and then I was reading the book often. And I was going to innovation class one day toward the end of college, and I had the book with me.
Mhm.
And, actually, no, had I even gone to the temple at this point? I don't know because and that's not important, but regardless it was in my consciousness, right? And as I walked into class one day, I had one of those long studio days that we were talking about before, and I left the studio after a few hours, and I go into class, and as I open the door to philosophy, I look at the side of the door and I'm like, I've been attending this class all semester, and I see a sign for the first time, and what does it say? "Donated by Michael A. Singer." So, like, literally my college classroom that I was, like, reading his book in and, like, of philosophy was literally donated by this man who, like, touched my life, and so I can feel it in my
Mhm.
heart, and I know you do too. It's like, oh, like, wow. It was very, like, profound in that
Oh
moment.
God.
And I hated that class. So it was really like an energy shift.
Mhm.
I was like, like
Yeah.
it was like grumbling
Mhm.
to goddess immediately. And it was just like so special. And I remember when do I have it with me? I do. It's right here. So I'll show you this. I know you're an author
Mhm.
writing your book, and I know you want art in your book. So this is a very aligned share, I think, to share with you that I started a book in his space.
Mhm.
I had just drawn like the chakras, and he has this picture of Jesus, and I was just like aware of how beautiful he is, and also how he's often depicted very Europeanized and like historic.
Mhm.
That's probably not accurate. So I like drew him how I thought he might have accurately looked,
Mhm.
and it's not in this exact book, otherwise I'd show you that page. However, those were the two first drawings that I did, and as he was speaking, I was listening to him speak, and I felt so moved by everything. And we do this like open Q&A, and he just like looked at me, and I looked at him, and it was the first time I thought maybe in my life that I felt like and I'm sorry, mom, because I know you're watching this, but it was like the first time I thought anyone really like saw me. Not like me as the identity me or the different versions of me or any role I might play in the world, but like saw my
Mm-hmm.
existence
Yeah.
as just like an extension of the divine at that
Mm-hmm.
degree. It was like the first time I really fully felt that. It doesn't mean it's the first time anyone looked at me that way. It's the first time I felt it and received that. And it meant so much to me. And that was before we even spoke. So we had a literal heart to heart because we both do
Mm-hmm.
things, put our hands on our heart, in that moment. And I asked, like, okay, you're an author and you've changed so many lives through your creation. And I draw and I write. And I just feel like I'm here to share something with the world and make a big difference. And what advice would you have for me? And he just said, just keep drawing and just keep writing. And one day, the right person in the right moment will ask you, hey, have you ever thought of publishing that? And you'll say, like, yeah, I have. I actually asked Michael Singer about this. Like, or you didn't say that part, I'm adding that. And and then that moment it'll just evolve and what is meant to be with it, it will be. And if you feel that it's supposed to make a big impact, I bet you it probably is. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is the prototype of the book. It's the original copy of the book that is called Thank You, Damn It. And it is Karina's Corona Diary. It is my journal from January 1st of 2020 to the rest of that year. And it documented the entire pandemic without expecting it. It documented my a lot of my own healing journey, on a very anecdotal level and also on
Mm-hmm.
a very metaphysical, expansive level. And so it's very delicate. I drew it, I took it everywhere with me, like everywhere. And it talks about our collective pain and the consciousness of our pain body and how that permeates out and our evolution and just so many things. And so it felt very sacred to me that in my surrendering, as I say that, I look at the word surrender,
Mm-hmm.
a little synchronicity. It felt very profound to me that in my surrendering and in my stepping into my womanhood, and in my vulnerability of asking that question and shedding my ego in that beautiful temple space, I had the blessing of a man who had changed my life and so many others' lives for the best just by, going and sharing about those things and embracing that. And I think he talks about this in the book, but I don't know how much you know. He was literally like going through hell during writing that book. Did you know this?
Which one of the two?
The Untethered Soul.
Mm-hmm. He speaks a little bit about it in the surrendering experiment.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, he was literally like he had a partner in his company embezzle like majority of the money, and then they're in this like lawsuit, and all of these crazy things are happening. And he just was like chilling about it, even though he wasn't, obviously. He learned so much about his consciousness in that. And I think it's so profound. And I resonate deeply with that because that was where I was when I was creating this. And it was not fully um, um, easy, but it was a channeling of something that was deep because it was the aligned resonant truth. And that's what we
Mm-hmm.
call art. That's the aligned resonant truth. And so, yeah, that's like a little bit of my story about that. I knew that you were like, what? You know
Mm-hmm.
him and you met him and you've been there and what? And I'm like, yeah, girl, let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like moving here, I think it was probably, I love every single page.
I'll show you
It's
the full one has like 100 more pages. You'll see. You see
um
here?
So moving here, that was probably the first book that I picked up to read. I remember I started reading Akatar, going back to Akatar, I started reading Akatar during quarantine. And
Mhm.
I read the first three books. And then during Christmas of 2021, I read the Christmas special. And then when I moved here, I couldn't get into reading Silver Flames.
Mm.
And I couldn't get into reading any book until one day I went into Barnes and Noble. I found this beautiful copy. I love this book so much. It's like so small and it fits everywhere. And I was like, you know what? I need to get this. I don't know why, but this speaks to me. So I'll go ahead and I'll buy it. And that was the first book that I read moving to the US. And it was just like a beautiful journey, and it became a part of my morning routine where I would get on the train, and that was like my morning read, and I would read a chapter
Which
a day.
line were you on? Just like for my New York City heart. Like what subways? What
No,
sub?
I was on the path because back then I was living in New Jersey and I was taking the
Oh,
path
okay,
to
okay,
the
okay. So
city.
not fully
Yeah.
my exalted heart, but I was like, were
Mhm.
you on the J? Like,
Oh no.
I love him.
um and then I just read the whole book. It stirred something within me that was just like so crazy, and I could never imagine me actually talking about this book and be like, you know what, you're in the country where you can actually go there, like that never clicked. I never realized that I would ever meet a person that actually met Michael A. Singer.
It's
That's like, for me, that is wild.
so funny because it's like he's just a human, but I totally
Yeah.
get that. I
Yeah.
totally get it because he's had such a huge impact on you,
Hmm.
and it's just so funny because like you know what? I think I went to I'm trying to remember properly. I can't remember. I think I went to the temple before I ever read the book. And so it's interesting because I just remember, I think that's true because I think my friend at the time was just like, I gotta take you here. And I was just like,
Hmm.
okay. And like went and I was just like, what is this place? You know? And all these people were there. And I didn't really realize to the fullest extent like how much of a difference this person had made on so many people's lives. And that was just like one of the first of many experiences like that to come.
Hmm.
Um, and that's confirmation to me for how much, like you said on your vision board, like you're living now the reality
Hmm.
of making a huge difference in servitude toward women and by working with women all over the world,
Hmm.
making a big difference. And that's something you felt intuitively in your heart and you manifested it in your reality now a few years later or 2 years later, you said. And so I think that that's beautiful because it's just like one of the things of this experience in life. Like it's already done, it's already here. And yet the magic doesn't go away.
Hmm.
It's like a magical thing to see it every day, in different
Hmm.
ways.
Hmm.
Oh, we just turn it off. I'll fix it. I'll attend to it in a bit. Thank you. And yeah, so I just think that that's so profound and so beautiful. And I love I love knowing what everyone's 10 steps are as well because you can
Hmm.
know like what makes someone's year the best year ever. You know what that person sees for themselves in 20 years and you get to watch not only like actively um serve and help in that way, which is part of our responsibility toward one another in community. On another level, you get to watch them bring it to reality. You get to watch that person in their evolution. Like, and that's such a gift to be
Hmm.
able to be like, wow, like I remember you when we were just like subway surfing in Brooklyn and like had a bunch of ideas and we're just like wilding out on like rented bikes. And now like you're in this exalted royal state of being, and I somehow contributed to that just by being able to be present for it.
Mm-hmm.
And your evolution is a testament and a testimony toward the healing that we've all committed to here. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's so profoundly beautiful.
One of my favorite things of being part of the ecosystem is not the change that I see in myself. Because, yes, that's amazing. Yes, I love being surrounded by people that they actually want to make a change and they strive to improving themselves. But it's, for me, the most important thing that I find the most magical of the whole process is getting to see everyone's journey and be there for them, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. We collectively do that for one another, and
Hmm.
I think it's special.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. And we invite you all to be a part of that. And if you have questions about that, you're welcome to ask us about that.
Hmm.
And I didn't intend to say this part, but we also have a special announcement because in our partnership with Win Win Women, we will be turning conversations like this into actual TV show. Like we will have a
Hmm.
television show very soon for Art Heals Earth School, and in being able to invite in women just like you to be a part of our team if you want to be, and you're always welcomed into the ecosystem. And if you want to host your own show, let us know because we have the ability to tap you in with the right people to do that on Amazon, Roku, and I forget the other one. All of the major streaming channels, and in hundreds of millions of homes,
Hmm.
basically. Um, and yeah, it's going to be a really fun experience to be able to
Hmm.
do that collectively, and to be able to create more and more opportunities of financial abundance and spiritual abundance and, you know, community and harmonious collective co-creation for all of the young women around us. You know, these are
Hmm.
opportunities that, if they weren't extended to us individually, our lives would be very different, and not necessarily in the best way. I mean, we don't have any way of knowing, but I have an inkling that I'm a lot better off for being here in this way. So those are things that you're welcome to ask us about, and we are
Hmm.
happy to inform you. Cool. Anything else on your heart space you'd like to share before we play a song and say toodaloo for the afternoon?
It's important to say that the things that I put on my vision board 2 years ago,
Mhm.
the reason why they didn't come into my life earlier was because I simply did not believe them happening for me
Mm.
until I had people that were like, you know what, I can help you get a school. And like strangers believed in that crazy dream that I had in my head. And that's why it's happening now. Because back then, there was no way that I could see myself doing that.
Mm.
So, yes, we might have something on our hearts and we can create a vision board, but it's not going to come to fruition if we don't believe it actually happening. Did we lose beautiful Karina? So,
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just moving to the piano, and
okay.
and I thought what
And
you were saying was so deep that it
mhm,
could, use its own space. So, yes. One second.
as important as it is for us to actually have a vision of something, it is just as important to believe that it can happen to us and truly step into that power. Um, Michael Singer managed to touch upon so many lives because he stepped into his true authentic power.
Yes.
And if he was never authentic to who he is, he would never be able to do what he's doing right now. He had to be able to surrender to whatever was happening and fight those gremlin thoughts in order to step into his full authenticity and hence into his king energy.
Yeah.
And as women that we want to be into our queen goddess energy, we just need to make space while stepping into our authenticity and surrendering to whatever is happening around us. Because at the end of the day, God, the divine, knows better. And whatever is meant to for you will actually come into your life
Inshallah.
at the right time.
God willing.
Mm-hmm.
He is the best of planners, for he knows and we do not.
Yeah.
Literally.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Hmm. Hey, Kaya. Hi. I've got a dog here. She's like,
Oh my god.
it's like, you're going to play a song? I want to be here. I'll sing too.
Oh.
It's okay, Mama. I'm right here. I'm right here.
This is so wholesome.
So wholesome. I know.
Yeah.
Yes. And in respect to that, hi,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so right here, baby girl. Yes, I promise. I'm not going nowhere. Dr. Fellingham wrote the book Believe It, Become It.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so cute right now. Are you kidding me? She's got these adorable glasses on. Oh my gosh. I can't. Um, she wrote the book Believe It, Become It.
Mm-hmm.
And I had shared with her something I deeply, deeply like saw for myself, but it just didn't like feel like it was happening. I was just getting so frustrated. And she was like, Karina, darling, if you want that, I believe you can have it. And
Mm-hmm.
like when she said that, I was like, I don't know why, but it didn't occur to me. Like, do I believe that I can have it?
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know that I did. And
Mm-hmm.
now I do. And so that's cool. And that's the power of being around women who are in that higher state.
Mm-hmm.
And so that actually goes into the song a little bit. So I love that. And I love this. And I've already shared the one that I'm going to share with you. But
Mm-hmm.
put in the chat if you come up with a title for this, please send me it in the chat because I don't know what this song should be called. I haven't decided. And that's weird because I normally like know immediately. So someone else is meant to name it, and I'm cool with that.
platinum protection treasure. Silk brocades of grace and mercy, we communicate like we love our companions. See the truth we and the truth we see in ourselves and in our soul. Show up in genuine reciprocity. God answers every call. Secret counsel shall not of mystic law. He restores my soul, he leads me in paths of righteousness. Bismillah for his name's sake, a friend loves at all times. Art heals her. This will never stop being the most amazing thing. You playing on the piano, creating such beautiful songs, singing them with your angelic voice. Just
That's so beautiful. Thank you. I love that. Should we do one more?
sure.
I feel like playing now because I haven't even played it all today yet, and that's kind of weird because it's almost 4 p.m. for me, and I usually
Mhm.
have played it a few times. Okay, last song, and then we'll actually cut the live because it's like an hour and a half now, which we didn't even
Okay.
talk about.
Oh. Okay.
I'm fine with it. I'm
Oh,
just
I'm
saying,
fine with
like,
it.
I just want to make sure. I mean, the people who are listening are still here, so that's great. Yay! Hi, Sonia. We love you. Okay, well, listen. We'll do one more, and this one is one of my favorite things to play. I don't know why. I just love it. I just do. Yeah, it's like 49 days ago, I would have had no idea I'd be sitting here singing about nothing at all, with an open heart and no mind. And I know that miracles are, yeah, they flutter past my ear alone, just telling me to sing a new song, and that it's gonna be alright, and it's alright. Today, I said, everything is going okay. Sure, I guess a couple more things could have gone my way. Baby, I'm in alignment. It is a new time. I'm feeling alive. And so I sing a little ditty.
all love it.
You'd be
We
surprised.
all
Not
do.
everybody loves it, but that's on them and not me.
Yeah.
I love it. You love it. And that's what
Mhm.
matters to me right now.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Let's do this again soon.
Oh yes, I would love to. Thank you for having me. This was so nice.
Mhm.
Um I told you last night that this is one thing that I've always had on my heart to do, to actually host live talks with women and have conversations like this. And the fact that you came up to me and you were like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" It's just you're God's gift, Dorothy.
Thank you. For context, so everyone knows who's watching it, I had looked up my name yesterday for like the first time.
Mhm.
My middle name is Dorothy, and I was like, what does Dorothy mean? And I looked it up and it said God's gift. And that felt
Mhm.
really beautiful. And especially in the context of we were talking about the
Mhm.
goddess energy and stepping into it and embodying that in integration, and that means a lot to me. That feels really good. So thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's what this is about, is making the choice in that moment of like, you know what, my gremlin's saying that I'm not an embodied goddess right now, and that's so rude, and
Mhm.
there's an element of truth in it because that's what's happening, but the choice that we get to make is to step into that. So
Mhm.
I look forward to making this more of a thing with you, to doing this
Mhm.
again, to uplifting and empowering you in the beginning of your journey and this,
Mhm.
and just being a testimony, the both of us, that whenever you have this is one of my favorite things, and I know you'll resonate with this, as going to acting school and doing all these amazing things. There's a quote that changed my life, and it's that it takes two to make a movement. So you could see
Yeah.
someone just doing their own thing or dancing in a crowd, like being like, I'm on a mission to unlock 1 million closed minds. And it's like, yo, what's this crazy guy doing over there? Like,
Mhm.
what?
Yeah.
And then you have just like an equally crazy person be like, I'm on a mission to unlock 1
Let's
billion
do
closed minds.
it.
Let's go. And then all of a sudden, everyone's like, we
Mhm.
on a mission to unlock
Yeah.
1 billion
Mhm.
God
Yeah.
together. And it's like, oh snap, like we just accidentally had a whole like historical
Mhm.
movement.
Yeah.
That's casually what's taking place here. So you're welcome to be a part of it. We would love to invite you to be a part of our ecosystem. If you're not already, ask us how to do that. Um, we have a lot of fun, so there's no need to let your gremlin take over and make you think that that's
Mhm.
not possible, because there's goddesses waiting for you. Come join us.
We're waiting with open arms for everyone.
Okay, not everyone, but the ones who are most alive.
The ones that align. If you want to be a part of it, we will welcome you and we will help you come to your full power.
Absolutely. Leading by example in our own
Mm.
healing journeys, because we definitely don't have it all figured out, but we take it day by day, moment by moment, and that's
Mhm.
the thing. So, all right, we will see you later. We love you.
Thank
Love
you.
is law, and family is business.